It's officially basketball season in Lincoln, Nebraska. Exhibition style, but still. I'm DP. He's Bach. Sir, thank you for doing this.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. This is probably my favorite time of year right here. Football and basketball blending together.
Man, it's good stuff. Again, you guys know the rules. Starter Hammond text line, Honda Lincoln hotline. If you want to call in or text in 402-464-5685, do so. We've got the live video stream popping. You know how to find that and follow that. You can go to YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch and see what's going on in the studio. Connor Happer will join us probably once the post-game pressers finish, and then he'll call in and give us his take on tonight's exhibition game. 97-58. Huskers display a lot of traits that we had questions about. Bach, first impression.
Very impressed, and especially how they came out of the second half. First of all, let's give hats off to Peru State for. I mean, that team could shoot, and they played a competitive game for half, and that was something I don't know how many of us expected, but I think a lot of it is for a lot of defenses, you're going to give up the long jump shot and expect the other team not to hit as much, but they did, and so it kept it close there for a while. But very impressed, and I think more than anything, like we expected, the depth is going to be the most impressive part of this team. They're going to be able to match up in different ways, and guys are going to get different playing time on different nights. And if you if you struggle, you might follow the rotation. So it's going to be fun to watch that kind of develop. And I think as expected, probably the most impressive Husker tonight to me was Alonzo Verge.
Yeah, 20 points, 7 of 10 shooting, 2 of 2 for 3-point land, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. To go a long way, 3 steals, and a number that I like, 8 assists and only 2 turnovers. So I like the fact that those things were in play. I'll also say, slightly surprised, and shame on me for saying this, impressed by Derek Walker.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like to watch his movement in space, to watch him be aggressive offensively, get shots up in space, defended well, did his thing, 5 of 6 from the floor, 3 assists to go along with that. That's a good night offensively for the Bigs. And then they got a little flash. You got some flashes from Wilhelm. Wilhelm Breidenbach looks like the first 4 and 5 guy off the bench who does everything the right way.
Yeah, I'm going to be excited to see how he kind of fits into the rotation. I mean, especially once he gets this guy kind of behind him. He's very smooth on the drive, and he's going to give Nebraska depth down low and give him some options there, because he can kind of play fast. He can kind of move. So it's just going to be fun. We had to dip out just to make it here. So we got wet socks, by the way. But we had to dip out to make it here before we saw the Twin Towers. And what about Andre? I know he's not going to be the talk of the game, but he did what you're supposed to do when you have a mismatch. I mean, and we've seen that before in Nebraska's past. Kind of reminded me of Alex March, not the way that he played, but just the fact that, when he had a mismatch, he would go for 20 and 10. And I wonder what he would have had if he would have played against the first unit. Andre didn't play a whole lot against the first unit. Didn't play until him and Kobe Webster came in a little bit later. So if you're looking at maybe possible guys that have maybe fallen out of the rotation a bit at this point, it's hard to tell. It's one exhibition game, but maybe those guys have worked their way back in. But he made a case for it. And I think that you mentioned to me while we were sitting there, there's going to be some Big Ten games where he's going to play, going to probably have to play. I'm thinking that preseason Big Ten Player of the Year, Kofi Coburn might be a matchup that Fred Hoiberg wants to look at for him. So there's going to be some height in the Big Ten, and they'll probably have to call on him. I didn't get to see Oleg going yet.
Yeah, but 3 minutes. Yeah, it's just 3 minutes on the way. Bach, the numbers are so in 9 minutes, Eduardo Andre had 10 points and 6 rebounds.
Oh yeah,
in 9 minutes.
And that was against Peru State's second team. I'll have to say that was they kind of pulled the starters too. But again, I would have been interested to see what he would have done against the first team. But you can only play the minutes you play, and he dominated his minutes about as well as he could for the time that he got.
There's some numbers to go through. I'll go through some of the team stats before we get to the individual stuff. Again, 97-58, your final. Peru State was 20 of 58 from the field for 34.5%. The Huskers were 36 of 58 for 62% from the field. Peru State's second group cooled off. They were 12 of 28 from three. The Huskers' second group and third group heated up. 11 of 22 for 50% from three. 77% from the free throw line for the Huskers. That thing matters. One rebound advantage for the Huskers. Too many, I can tell you, the Hoibergs are going to look at the stat sheet and go, Peru State got 12 offensive rebounds. That's 10 too many. But again, they're plus in that time. Let's go through. I guess the biggest lead at some point was 97-57 was 40 points. 25 assists to 11 for the Huskers. That makes me giddy. 25 assists and only 9 turnovers. That ratio does wonders. Where Peru State was 11 assists and 18 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a good performance, and especially, I mean, if you were watching early on, it was the Verge pick and roll with Walker. I think he got him 3 times, and then he came down the court and said, "Let's do it again." They can't stop this. Let's keep rolling with it, and it was really impressive. And specifically for Walker, I'm kind of excited. I think one of the other assists he got on a bucket was against Mcgowan's, and it's just kind of one of those things where he didn't get a fully play last year, if you remember, until January. So the team seemed to get better with him, and then of course they lost Teddy Buckets there, and so it was just kind of an odd fit all along. Never got kind of the full look of that team. Now he's played along with all those other guys, but maybe he's particularly gonna benefit from some of the new guys. Verge looks like he looks like he could be up there in the leaders for assists. Like, it's one game, it's Peru State, but he looks like the ball handler Nebraska needed, the type of point guard that they needed. I wouldn't be surprised if he's up there in the Big Ten leaders and assists are up there for it.
Yeah, I like what happened in it. In exhibition, my rule is this. I look at assist turnovers because it tells me whether you're in the system, finding your teammates, and you're taking care of the ball. Like that's what it tells me. Now, I will tell you, I would also circle that you gave up too many offensive rebounds. Right? Like that's a thing that I need to deal with. And then in the Big Ten, we know there are going to be nights where Nebraska is simply going to ask a Big Ten team to shoot threes because they're going to pin down to the box. And if they're going to hit at high volume, then you're going to have to battle through. But that's the paper cut you would rather have. That's how you want it. It's much more difficult for you to win a game that way, especially in the Big Ten. So I think they have issue with that. I think, so the 12 offensive rebounds and the 14 second chance points from Peru State. Those are the coaching moments. Like if you're Hoiberg and you win by 40 and you need coaching things to focus on, there they are.
Yeah, and some of those too. I mean, when you take long threes, it's kind of the evolution of the game, right? With the 3-point shooting, it kind of helps in the rebounds for some of those guards. It'll bounce right back out to them, and it doesn't necessarily depend on who's boxing out and stuff like that. I'm sure a few of them were like that, but still, I mean, it's just too many. It just adds up, and I know some of them weren't. So that's something they're going to work on. And of course, Nebraska, this is we talk about the experience they have together, but that's a brand new starting lineup. It's a brand new group of guys out there. So they're going to have to get used to playing together. They're going to, this is definitely not mid-season form. So they're going to have some things to work on. And again, I just say hats off to Peru State. I see Jeff on Facebook here responding. He wasn't too impressed considering that was an NAIA team that was very good last year, but like you said, like for the Big Ten, if you or in any game, if you'd rather have them beat you from contested shots from deep, and I know some of them were open, but in general you'll give that up too. And they were hitting them, so you have to give Peru State credit just for, if nothing else, just for their shooting. And then the other thing is, I think the Huskers should be up for this game, right? It's the first exhibition game and all that. But the Peru State kids definitely should be up for this game because this is, that's one of the biggest arenas, largest crowds they're going to play in front of. So, you wonder about the motivation there too. But all else, everything else, I mean, it just comes down to the fact they were hitting threes.
Yeah, I mean, there are no ways for you to defend every shot and contest. You're going to concede something, especially in this system. That's how it's set up. And then ultimately you rely on the averages and the law of averages and the numbers to bend your way. Nebraska shot plus 60%. That's how this happened. And they did it over an entire game. This is not just a NAIA team. This is a team that played at the highest level of that. And they're shooters. That's why you put them on your schedule, so that the things that you defend well show up, the things you want to work on. Well, many a night in the Big Ten in this upcoming winter, they're going to force Illinois, they're going to force Iowa to bang threes in order to get a win. You'll concede that because you can adjust to that as well. You can adjust to that. You can get to shoot closeout, and you can do those things. But to defend at the level that they defended at tonight, I don't care what level you're defending at or playing. If you defend with that kind of energy and are plus, you get 12 steals, that's purposeful. We're not even talking about deflections, ball that they got a hand on, or time that they tied a thing up, or where they put somebody in a bad offensive spot because they had to throw outside of their lane. This system is set up to put you take away a bunch and you allow some things, and you can change it. You can change it because not all teams in the Big Ten are going to want to sit out there and shoot three. Some are going to want to bang down in the box, and it depends on the situation. But at least it showed tonight that they have answers for it. They've got a legit point guard, a legit Power 5 point guard for the first time in 3 years, right? Legit.
Oh, yeah.
To have that in space, and then it will look for what it was. It wasn't a 6'8" point guard who's there because he has that advantage. It's a guy who handles, distributes, gets in the paint, and knows how to finish. Let's go to the Honda Lincoln Hotline. Connor Happer is sitting there waiting for us. Carter, how you doing, brother?
Hey, how we doing? Doing good.
Yeah, I look. We're trying to figure out how we should feel post this exhibition. How do you feel? What's your first takeaway?
Yeah, well, I think there was some good. There was some, I think, actually quite a bit of, rust shaking off. Fred talked a week or two ago and mentioned how it's been a little bit of a grind going up against each other. They've had a long run up as far as preseason is concerned, and then 2 exhibitions. So, it takes a minute to kind of shake that all off for good. But the bones are there. Fred just got to the press conference, and Weber talked, a few different times about how they're going to just be harping on physicality and rebounding. And that's kind of where you start, I think, with weaknesses. And then you kind of go from there. So, I mean, there's going to be stuff that pops up, but overall, I didn't think it was a bad start today. Nothing that blew you away. It's not a bad start, that's for sure.
Yeah, the first thing that popped, of course, for most people there tonight was, okay, Alonzo Verge Jr. is that guy. Like he's going to be the pulse and the thread and the bloodline for this team. What does he bring? And again, how are Big Ten teams going to deal with it?
Well, I mean, I think I'm curious to see how it kind of translates from him in the starting lineup, because I mean, I can remember a whole bunch of times when Nebraska just, they have the propensity to start slow occasionally. So I don't know if that's an option when he's on the floor. He's going, man. And the second he came into the game, and the game kind of changed. He got 3 or 4 easy looks at Walker right away. But Walker's a really nice catcher in traffic, and he could see things well. He's probably one of their best finishers too, even though he's an undersized 5. So he does a good job catching. That'll be a good pick and roll team all year long. And Verge is going to hunt his shots too. He was surprisingly efficient, 7 of 10 tonight. So nothing too over the top. There'll be times, I think, where you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's probably got a few too many shots, a little too much volume on the board for your liking. But if he's setting the pace and the tempo like he is tonight, that's just tough to deal with. He's fast. He's but at the same time, he generally stays under control. And you mentioned it right at the top before I came in there. He's a legit Big Ten point guard. I think he's going to be a challenge to deal with this year.
We're talking to Connor Happer. Connor, this is, for exhibitions, we tend to fall into the lane of, as you would say, overreaction, underreaction. A 30-plus point win against an NAIA team in your first exhibition with this group. Overreaction. This is not a cellar dwelling Big Ten team.
No, I don't think that's an overreaction, but I would have said that without any result tonight. I would have said that regardless. I think that should be the expectation to not have them be in the basement or whatever that means, in the bottom four of the league. And I didn't see anything that would put them in that category tonight. They didn't play themselves out of high expectations from me. I guess that's kind of how I would put it. So I don't know if I don't know if I would say it's an overreaction or there's anything to overreact to in particular. Maybe I guess a little bit skewed towards the negative, slightly. But it was a sleepy night, a dreary night here, and it's been raining all day. You got half the crowd over at the Devaney for volleyball, which is just getting underway here, and you felt that energy a little bit tonight. It was good to shake out the rust a little bit. I think it'll be a better ramp up on Sunday, and then they go, a week after that.
Did Coach Hoiberg have anything to say in the post game press conference about the rotation, specifically Kobe and Eduardo Andre coming in late, and as well as Alonzo Verge not starting?
He did, yeah. He said that he went with he had a discussion with everybody on the roster going into tonight, just about roles, and he said as a player he always appreciated transparency, and that obviously is a good thing. So I think those guys, like Kobe and Lake and Andre, had an understanding of kind of what they were going to get going into tonight. But honestly, all three of them played well enough to work themselves in. So I don't think anything's set in stone. That's going to be a thing that they're going to be dependent on at some point. I think those are the first 8 or 9 that you saw walking out there tonight for a reason. But if the 10th, 11th, and 12th keep giving you looks like they did tonight, then they're going to keep getting chances, I think. And then as far as Verge not starting, I wondered about that too. Fred was asked. Basically, just said that was just my decision. We put him in right away after that. Nothing to smell there. So I suppose that's a good thing.
When what popped to me was Keon Edwards, and watching him, because we thought okay, this guy will be able to score. He's a freak athlete. He'll be able to get up and down. But he defended and hit threes tonight. That's got to put more focus on him when we start looking at the regular rotation.
That was totally not my impression of him as a player when Nebraska got his commitment from DePaul in the transfer portal. And he came in, and we met with them. This is probably a month or a month and a half ago before they start to kick off training camp. And they brought each one of them out, and we talked to Keon for the first time, and he goes, "Well, I pride myself on being a sharpshooter, a good shooter." And I was like, I didn't really. And that wasn't really obvious to me watching what I could watch of Keon Edwards pre-Nebraska. But man, he's smooth out there. And you're right, DP. That his ability to defend as well, and especially defend the wing, that's nice. That's a really fun piece that I think you could work with. Your almost backup Bryce Mcgowan at this point. So. That's a good little piece to have, a borderline 5-star in the class before Bryce coming off the bench basically behind him. I think he's good for plenty of spot minutes, if not more than that, if not a bigger role than that. And if he knocks down threes the way he did tonight, he's gonna be asking for more.
And Edwards obviously has that athleticism, and I like how you said that backup, Bryce McGowan's. What were your first impressions from the 5-star? I think a lot of people were eager to see him tonight, and made the start. Maybe didn't overwhelm, but looked pretty good out there.
I thought he was a hair timid, maybe, and that's okay. I think personality-wise, he's probably gonna have to play into that a little bit. It'll take some time before that was kind of my question with him. So if there was an overreaction, I guess, to this game, that would be it for me. Like, is he? He definitely has this professionalism to him where he goes out, does his business, and doesn't do it in too flashy of a form or anything like that. But I wonder, if Nebraska will have to lean on him at all to be kind of alpha doggy or anything like that. And so far, my impression is no. Now, first game in front of fans, whatever it might be. Hoiberg said after the game he liked the looks that he got. He didn't think he forced anything, which I didn't either. I think the basketball stuff works. I'm just curious as to what the kind of next, level is for him and how soon he gets there. He's obviously a threat basketball-wise, but then how much do you put on him, and where do you kind of go with him role-wise as far as the next step is concerned?
Connor, here's what's funny, and it's the coach in me that jumps out and you go, okay, if we said this morning that, C.J. Wilcher's going to start, you're going to get 2 points from Trey Mcgowan, 4 from Bryce Mcgowan, and 2 from Kobe Webster. We would have all said this is a nightmare, this is awful, this is brutal. They probably got booed out of the building. And yet, that's actually the way that you become a legitimate Big Ten team.
Yeah. I guess I wouldn't have been surprised at the production from Kobe. I just got the sense going into things that he was probably the 10th or 11th guy, which is to the point that you made. Man, that's a heck of a card in your pocket there. If you could bring a guy with experience and leadership off the bench, or that deep off the bench, that's a pretty nice card to play if you have to play it at any point this year. So that's kind of nice. Wilcher starting surprised me. I fully expected him to be in the rotation, and the top rotation, the top 6 or 7. So and he only got I guess he did only hit 3 tonight. He looked good on the 3-point shot he took. I was impressed with both of Nebraska's primary ball handlers, and when it wasn't Verge, it was Trey Mcgowan. He still has the kind of propensity at times to just get one idea and get ahead of steamrolling and head to the basket. But he laid off of that as much as he could tonight and made some plays for other people. Didn't take a shot, I don't think, until the very end of the game. And I thought it was a pretty good debut for him. It's kind of that. I mean, he's a starter, but the backup kind of primary ball handler. So no, I mean that. You're right, DP. Like I don't. It didn't speak. Those numbers that you just read off probably doesn't speak to Nebraska's full-on performance tonight. So it's probably a good thing if you count it all up.
And I think it's interesting. We already talked about one of the more heralded recruits to Nebraska in recent memory, in Bryce Mcgowan. So how about another one of those guys in Keisei Tamanaga, the smallest player out there on the court, not just on Nebraska's team, but for Peru State. How did you think he fit in? And looks like he's, at least at this point, in the rotation.
I think, yeah. I mean, I said the same thing with not to get away from Tamanaga too much, but I said the same thing with Lakes. Like, if these guys are knocking down threes at as high of a rate as we expect them to, or they have in the preseason, like they can't not be on the floor. They have to, and I know they want to be a real solid defensive team and all this stuff, but Tamanaga just gives you such a threat in spacing when Nebraska has the offensive, when Nebraska has the ball in their hands. So you have to pick your spots carefully. They threw out a really fun lineup tonight with basically all offense, and I think it was Verge, Tamanaga, Wilcher, and Keon came in there, and then Wilhelm. Those guys are all huge threats from wherever they are on the floor, which is awesome. So they'll have different lineups that they could throw at you that just accomplish different goals and different things, which is awesome. Some versatility, I guess, is what we're talking about here. But yeah, there's there's a special kind of air in the building when Tamanaga is even like when they're even looking his way. They're like, oh,
yeah, right.
And he had one of his moments tonight where he fell down and knocked out the right wing there. So he's definitely a fan favorite, but I think he accomplishes way more than that too. He's an important guy on the team.
Look, I think that we got what we were looking for. We got to see them against somebody else. We got to see their movements. We got to see some of the chemistry, see where the things are working. Yeah, plus or minus. What do you say?
Yeah, it's a plus. I mean, I think I mentioned at the beginning, but Fred talked about the preseason, the run up here being pretty long, and I asked him after the game, what do you kind of do? How do you approach the next few days? And he's like, you keep harping on the same things, but you have a little bit more information. You got something to show them now, which is nice. You play a Power 5 opponent on Sunday, so it'll be more of a test, and you have to bring in a little bit more. So it's a good ramp up into the season. It was a good start tonight. I thought it was a definite plus for me.
Connor, before we let you go, who do we have to call to have them move the time of first tip Sunday from 11 a.m.? Like, who do we have to call?
Are we out on the 11 a.m.? I'm kind of in.
Yeah, roll
trick or treating that night, or?
Yeah, I was like, roll out of bed.
Let's knock it down early. I'm cool. I'm like, let's not. I'm good. We're gonna have a lot of 8 p.m. Tuesday night tips this year, so I'll take the 11 a.m. Sunday over that.
Hey man, you were right about that. You were right about that. Appreciate you, brother. Talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
That's Connor Happer. He's down at PVA. Pretty good stuff on an exhibition night. We'll throw the break when we come back. Let's get. I need Box take. We'll have Box actually just kind of rate players and go through, give his scouting report. We'll do that next.
Tired of interrupted printing or money-wasting long-term copier contract? Join Cartridge World's no-cost printer program. You get a free brand printer, free service maintenance and repair, free delivery. All this for just buying our high-quality, affordable printer cartridges. Simple agreements and a local-friendly service, as it has been for more than 25 years. Cartridge World. Contact us today.
Hi, I'm Charlie Stone, and joining me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, are you there?
Yes, I am, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, I saw on television you have more than 500 new Hondas in stock or on the way. Now, I'm sure the listeners would like to hear more about that.
Well, Charlie, it's true. We have truckloads of new Hondas arriving just about every day. What's different is you won't see them on the lot very long because most all of them are pre-sold. And that's what we're encouraging all of our customers to do is get in here, get their order in as soon as possible.
Well, tell me, Andy, will they have to wait long?
Not really. It could be a few days or maybe even a few weeks, but not long at all. So I really invite everyone to come on out and experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Thank you, Andy. Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln.
The dangers of secondhand smoke are well known. But what about secondhand aerosol, which is created when using e-cigarettes? Science already shows a secondhand aerosol can contain nicotine, heavy metals, and cancer-causing agents. Eliminating exposure to secondhand aerosol is an important step to keeping everyone safe. Breathe easier knowing the facts.
For help quitting, call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669, paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Experiencing increased body fat, low sex drive, lack of energy, or general fatigue? Vitalized Health offers testosterone replacement therapy and peptide therapy to boost hormone levels and build muscle mass. Call Vitalized Health today at 402-413-0717 or go online to vitalizedhealthne.com.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and surrounding area, but I'll save you time. iElectric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. iElectric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns big or small in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at iElectric.com.
Welcome back, Huskers. Exhibition season officially underway, 97-58 over Peru State. And we thank you guys for who are jumping on the chat and who are on the text line. Let's go through. Let's read a couple of them before we get a box breakdown of what he saw. Yes, another exhibition against Colorado on Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. Texas, please talk Webster. Kobe Webster's, like, we know that's a known entity. That's a known quantity. We know what happens with Kobe Webster in the Big Ten. You can rely on him to come in and knock down shots and to defend. He's just in this place. There's a serious point guard in front of him, and then there's a really good shooter coming off the bench, and then another shooter, and then another good shooter. So that should be the measuring stick for this year's team compared to last year's. That Kobe, Eduardo, Trevor that's what showed tonight.
Yeah,
there's some bodies in between, and there's some work to be done.
Well, and it's good news if you're a Husker fan. I mean, obviously, he's shown that he can really go off, but he was kind of a microwave. He could be hot and cold. So maybe they're looking for more consistency out of a guy like Casey Tamanaga, like you said, in his shooting. And I think and it's hard once you just get one look against of Tamanaga. I think Webster at this point is probably the better player. But Tamanaga's a specialist. He's a better shooter, and maybe you need you need that specialty more than the complete player in certain packages. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think we've obviously talked to him. I don't think he's going to get his heads down. I mean, he's a leader, and he knows that his time's going to come. And who knows? I mean, for one thing, it's exhibition. You might just not be playing the known quantity, and he'll be right in the rotation Sunday or even after that. But the other thing is there's going to be opportunities, and he'll be able to play his way back in there. Of that I know, and it's just like you said earlier, what a weapon to have. If he does end up being your 10th or 11th guy on the bench, everybody's
you're okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's okay. Not a bad thing.
Yeah, you're okay. If he's number 9 or 10, you're really good.
Yeah.
Tim says, love that you guys are giving us a post-game show. Looking forward to Sunday and seeing how these guys stack up against a solid Power 5 team, especially a consistently 20-win Power 5 team in Colorado. And, yeah, we're going to bring the post-game shows, especially once we get into the regular season. They'll be pretty consistent and pretty regular, especially deeper into the Big Ten conference. I think there's only like 3 or 4 games where we won't do a post-game. So most of these, just buckle up and get in. Wade says he's listening on the way home, enjoying the show. Love the second half. Edwards definitely watch for. Yeah, I agree. Edwards popped tonight. He flashed. Like we understood. I thought, just from him, his elevation, but his stroke is nice.
Yeah, and it's just his length too. I mean, and they were doing that a lot, like kind of switching on the baseline, and did get a lot of different kind of defenses, matchup zone here and there, but even just switching off on man is they have a back line that's got height. They're not overwhelmingly tall, as long as they kind of keep their 7-footers on the bench. You probably have some developing to do still before they're in the rotation. But they have length, and he's certainly part of that. His length along with his athleticism, it's not going to guard the Hunter Dickersons or anything like that, being low in the paint, but he can, as far as driving to the bucket against taller guys, he'll definitely be able to contest. And like you said, if he can add shooting to that athleticism, I mean, he looks like he's going to play a part, and I just can't wait to see some of these guys develop, because a lot of them are so young, and we're going to see them throughout the season. I highly doubt the starting lineup at the beginning of the season will be the same at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think the group that started the second half would be the starting lineup
for now. Yeah,
for now, and then Breidenbach makes a bid to get in that spot, to get in that 4. I mean, we know what Lat does. I just think they bring different things to it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Red Rouse said, "Is it me or did DJ Wilcher struggle defensively?" I didn't read it that way. I didn't read it that way.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily notice that, but
I didn't read it that way at all. One, because of what he was asked to do, asking to defend a 1, and that player didn't get off until CJ got off the floor. So, but that's just from my vantage. He says, "My worry for Brian Bach, he's going to get bullied on the block by much bigger bodies." But see, that's one-sided. Think of what Breidenbach does to the big body on the offensive end.
Blow right by him. He did that a few times.
Like he'll go by him, he'll stretch him and make him play the entire floor. He'll draw him away from the basket, which is what they want for him to do, so Verge and McGowan's can go by. So he will give some, but he will also take a bunch.
And for most matchups, that'll be fine. Again, there's certain matchups in the Big Ten that I can't wait because that's going to be, hey, Eduardo, we need you tonight, or because you just as far as backing guys down and stuff like that. There's only a few, college basketball. It's hard to find 7-footers that can play or big guys that can play, and you base your team around. But of course, it's more prevalent in the Big Ten. So there's going to be certain matchups where maybe Breidenbach's not the best at it. I didn't necessarily notice that. Or worry about it at this point. I'd still like to see a little bit more of that. It's not like Peru State dominated the paint while he's in there, dominated the paint at all in this game. So that's not necessarily a worry for me. But if it does become that, I would just think, certain matchups he's going to work. And that's, again, the versatility of these guys, of the different bodies you have. It's, sometimes in, Miles and even Hoiberg's team sometimes just seem like get as many 6'8" guys that can do everything average or just above average and then see how it goes. I kind of like having different options and different strengths and along with that comes different weaknesses, but it's going to be fascinating, not just for the matchups as far as like the coaching involves. And sometimes games can just be thrown out there and especially Tim Miles' offense at times or even Fred Hoiberg's offense, it's going to be make or miss here and there. But the coaching part of it, the matchups, the thought process of who's going to get this many minutes against this matchup versus the other, that's going to be a lot of fun to break down and probably criticize Fred Hoiberg for at times this year.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's got options and he has choices. And I'm just thrilled that he can look down. Whoa, we've got another shooter on the bench. Oh, you've got another long defender on the bench. Oh, you've got a shot blocker. If he does nothing else but block shots, or at least alter shots, or make them hesitate on shots. Oh, we've got another shooter off the bench. Oh, we've got kind of a dog over here that we can use. I think that's how I looked at tonight. Was looking to see whether Hoiberg had answers for what he wanted, and the fact that, again, Kobe Webster wasn't in the starting lineup. He wasn't the first guy off the bench. Eduardo Andre, who, again, got off the bench immediately last year, right? He had to play in the Big Ten. You didn't have a Brian Bach. You didn't have Tamanaga. You didn't have Wiltshire. You didn't have Edwards. You've got more pieces. Now the question is, can you make the puzzle fit and can you make it work? We'll find that out. We'll find out more on Sunday. But even with Sunday, I don't think we're going to know this team until early December.
Yeah.
I just don't.
And there's a couple of good matchups in early December. Remember, they do those few Big Ten matchups before getting all the way into conference season, so you get a little peek at it. But no, I completely agree with you. This is not a team that, like I said, it's not mid-season form. They're going to have to kind of play together, but it's not the complete Frankenstein, since it's Halloween, Frankenstein project that we've had the last couple of years, where it's like, well, there's one or two guys that have played together, and everybody else will just figure it out. A lot of these guys have played together and kind of have developed that chemistry, and now it's just kind of about those other pieces fitting in. But, with some of those guys down the bench, as much as it helps to get more talent in, you're getting less of those guys playing together. So it might take a little bit longer for your top 8 or 9 to kind of develop that chemistry. But I want to say this because, I was excited about Verge. Obviously, he's going to be the big top. Offensively, I love the assists, and I always like that passing mentality. I like counting up assists. But more than anything, I'm excited about his defense, his pesky defense, and not just that, but combining that with Trey Mcgowan's. You talk about something that's Big Ten ready and in midseason form. It's that backcourt's defense. It's going to be I can't swear. It's going to be tough for any team going up against them, and they're going to be tired by the end of the night because they're going to be pesky and they're going to get steals.
Yeah, looking forward to how they develop even with the combinations that they ran several different combinations. The defense didn't slack when K-State was on the floor. Defense didn't slack when CJ was on the floor. Keon didn't. I mean, he closed out, got spots. They had a few hiccups along the way, but again, this is what these exhibitions are for. And yeah, it's Peru State. They can score too. Like their basket was open as well. And ultimately, in the end of it, the numbers look the way you want them to look. Like you can get caught up in semantics, but I can tell you, if you walk off the floor and you tell me that you held a team to 34% from the field, I don't care who it is. Good job. If you took 58 shots and shot 62%, Bach, you and I couldn't do that at the elementary, bro.
No,
like
that's a heck of a
right. Like that's you putting in the work, and then for them to they had a slow start from behind three. They finished at 50%. Right. So the numbers tend to bear out over the course of this thing. Yeah, we don't know what the rotation is going to be. We don't know what the minute breakdown will be, and we don't know the opponents. We don't know the opponents. We can base it off last year's opponents. And what I can tell you is if I'm going to measure this year's roster, I have to measure it by the simplest way I can, which is versus last year's roster, versus last year's roster, versus last year's roster.
Yeah.
And I'll say that if you line them up 1 through 15, this roster is better. This roster is better, and that's kind of how you play it. I think that's fair, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
better with the much higher upside, even. So, I mean, there's exciting, news to come along
we had
with that.
dunks. There were dunks. There were dunks in the alley-oop. Like, come on. I don't remember the last time I saw people expecting dunks in that building, not against Nebraska.
I will say this, as much as I did praise Alonzo Verge, I did not like that alley-oop at the end of the half to Bryce. In a pretty crowded situation, it would be nearly impossible for him to dunk that. And if he had tried, it's a possible injury. And so that's the one thing and I think the coaches, I don't know who they're yelling at, but I was thinking that. So I'm sure they were probably maybe yelling at him, hey, that's not worth the risk right there. Highlights are fun, but that's a little too much. But to Bryce's credit, he almost tipped it in.
Yeah, like he went up and made a freakish alien type play.
Yeah.
He got his hand on it and tried to push it through. But that to me is another thing to be excited about because there weren't finishers on this roster. Those guys weren't there. Like the alley-oop play and having people sneak behind defense from soft corner to get lobs. What?
Yeah.
Pick and roll.
Even the spacing helps it a little bit. Lot Mayen had a cut backdoor that finished on a dunk. And, yeah, Lot Mayen kind of got a stigma for if he's not hitting threes, what's he doing out there? Well, maybe he can add a little bit more to his game with the spacing. And Tamanaga, by the way, absolutely provides that. They're going to have to find ways to get him open because the scouting report's out, and it helps that the scouting report's out as far as spacing goes. But he had to take some difficult shots, and somebody was glued to him the whole time, which, again, good job on Peru State for doing that. And that's exactly what you want him out there for, is to take a guy completely away from the bucket.
And to stretch defense.
Yeah.
Like, I would put him out there and go, you know what? Go to the soft corner. Go to the corner. All right, now stretch him. There we go. That means Verge has one less defender in the space.
Yeah.
I mean, Derrick's has got one less defender in the space. And whoever Verge attacks, they're going to be wide open.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So,
start attacking that side and get him open in that corner.
Well, Verge was letting them know, man, look, we see it. This is what it is. Let's have at it. So let's throw it to one more break. We'll go one more time. We'll actually get Bach's grades on the roster. We'll go down the roster. We'll let Bach tell us what he saw tonight. We'll do that when we come back.
Tired of interrupted printing or money-wasting long-term copier contract? Join Cartridge World's no-cost printer program. You get a free brand printer, free service maintenance and repair, free delivery. All this for just buying our high-quality, affordable printer cartridges. Simple agreements and a local-friendly service, as it has been for more than 25 years. Cartridge World. Contact us today.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is now hiring for all shifts. They're a 24/7 facility and a clean environment to work in. There's potential to earn up to $25.25 per hour with opportunities for overtime. They also offer a retention bonus, as new team members are eligible for a bonus as high as $1,000. Come be a part of the Tractor Supply team. Apply today at www.tractorsupply.jobs.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
Showers and thunderstorms expected off and on throughout the day, with steady temperatures in the mid-50s and winds eventually turning out of the northwest, gusting 30 to 40. Overnight, mainly cloudy with low down to 44. Those strong northwest winds could gust 40 to 45 tomorrow, with highs only around 54. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Want a free pair of Nebraska football tickets? Head to theticketfm.com's contest tab and register for a free pair of tickets each week of a home game, courtesy of Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of Woods Brothers and 93.7 The Ticket.
Final segment in the postgame show for tonight, and we thank you guys for again hanging out with us and adding to. Greatly appreciated. Bach, let's go up and down. Let's start it at the top, man. Let's go. How would you grade Fred Hoiberg?
I think Fred Hoiberg did a good job, especially the second half adjustments for the second half. Maybe that was just Peru State, obviously playing at a different pace there and it kind of catching up to him. But complete adjustment, specifically Jabril Harris, who went off against Nebraska in the first half. He ended up 5 of 5 beyond the arc. He was the big man, if you noticed him out there. And I know there's that point in the game where you and I both kind of went, all right, we can live with that. And then he started knocking down a few more. We go, okay, you can't live with that anymore. And so they made the adjustment. So I liked it as far as getting the rotation out there and making those adjustments. So, hey, they didn't score 100, so that kicks away from the A+. We'll give them an A.
Okay. Yeah, that 100 really mattered. It really did. It mattered. I was going to, come on, give me the 100.
Yeah.
Give me the 100. Where would you how would you grade Alonzo Verge?
Alonzo Verge, very impressive in his debut. From what Happer said, there's nothing to read into not starting. That's the only thing that kind of makes you go, what was going on there? Because he's clearly was their best player tonight, and I think that was kind of the reports leading into it. So you think you would want to start your best player. But very impressive. I'm excited about his defense. I'm excited about his ball handling, his ability to get guys open, specifically that pick and roll with Derek Walker. And then his scoring. I mean, he was very efficient from the field tonight too. If he gives you this every time out, you'll take it. So I think A+ for him.
Yeah, there's the Derek Walker.
Derek Walker looked very good, especially as I said, his new pairing there with Alonzo Verge. And he was kind of known as the heart of the team last year. 5 of 6 from tonight, 12 total points. I like it. 2 steals to be added in there. And he's still kind of that undersized big at times, but he's not somebody you would worry about, guarding those bigger guys. So I like what I saw from him tonight. Go ahead and give him an A as well.
Bryce McGowan.
Bryce McGowan was 2 for 8 from the field and 0 for 4 from 3. Probably a little bit of first game jitters. He's probably going to have some time to kind of realize what his role is and kind of figure that out. But he's starting for a reason. They know it's there, and they've probably seen it at times. So not overly impressed. I don't want to give anybody too much of a failing grade at this time. His length certainly helps. Sometimes when you're not shooting too well, not being a ball hog even helps. So I'd give him a solid C+, B-. I think the expectations are always going to hurt. He's kind of graded on a curve in that way.
Trey McGowan.
Trey McGowan's looked good as well. Absolutely was not looking for a shot tonight. 0 for 1 from the field. I think he did get to the line a few times, but he looked good. And again, his defense. I think that probably what he was doing, and he'd do this at times last year where he wouldn't score a whole lot of points. And then there'd be other times where he'd be feeling it and completely take over. So I'd like to see him be more consistent with that, but I'm going to guess that at this time, he was kind of letting the other guys do their thing. And I don't think it can be too high, maybe a B at this time, but a solid performance from him. I think if they needed him to attack, he would have been more on the attack. Lotman looked good. I mentioned that cut he had to the rim to get the dunk. We know what he is as far as a 3-point shooter. He hit one of those. So I thought he did pretty good. I'd go with a solid B for him as well.
CJ Wilcher
looked good, got the start. And and looks like he's going to help out with that athleticism. Did not necessarily stand out tonight, I don't think. So along that C+ B- range.
Kobe Webster.
Kobe Webster, hats off to him for at least being what he is and being a leader on the team. I saw him on the bench, and you can make fun of him for as much as you want, but he was on the bench cheering that team on, and to go from the role that he was last year, even just for one game, who knows how long it's going to be, but to be this, that takes a lot of courage. I think years ago we saw that from a few guys that it's pretty impressive to see. Even in a diminished role, you're a good teammate. So as far as that goes on the court, he got out there and he wanted to shoot. He wants to work his way back in the rotation.
Yeah, he lets you know.
So we'll give him a C today, but because I honestly I would left basically once he got on the court, but his numbers don't pop off. But it is what it is, and still I was glad to see him being one of the vocal leaders on the bench.
Trevor Lakes.
It's same type of thing. We left too late to see Trevor Lakes.
6 points in 8 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't see that. Unfortunately, I've heard all about his shooting and how it's a lot better. And I believe it. 2 from the field. We didn't get to see it out there. I will say this too. I like his look better. I think somebody told him to go to the barbershop. He looks clean.
Yeah, he did that. Thank you for doing that, Trevor. Greatly appreciate it. Keon Edwards.
Keon Edwards is excited because of his athleticism, and again his ability, just kind of his length, and then was hitting threes. I mean, I think you'd have to go toward an A for him. Again, it's kind of weird because I'm doing all these grades on a curve compared to what I expected, or maybe kind of what popped out. But Keon Edwards definitely popped out.
Yeah, he was 4 of 4 from the floor, 3 of 3 from 3. Like he just went out there and did his thing. K-State Tamanaga.
I liked what I saw from K-State. Contested 3, buried it. I mean, that's kind of what we were expecting. And I hope that as good as a three-point shooter as he is, that he'll be good for these 6 points. That's what he got tonight. I think that's kind of the expectation for him. This team's not always going to be hitting 50% from beyond the arc. They're going to need to go to him as a sharpshooter at times, and he's going to take those contested shots because everybody's got the scouting report on him. But he drilled a few of them. So I like what I saw from him. We'll go with a B.
Stick in his pocket. Willem Breidenbach.
He looked good. I like Breidenbach, and he finished 3 for 3 from the field, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, kind of playing with that second unit mixed in with the first. He's really exciting. I'm impressed with his debut. So B+, A-.
What do you grade Eduardo Andre?
I'll give him an A+ for what he was, what he was doing out there. And, again, that's against the second unit of Peru State after the game kind of had gotten out of hand. But I'll keep saying it. You can only play the minutes you play. You can only play against the guys that you play against. If you have a mismatch, don't just, go out there and just get 4 points. So you can take advantage of that mismatch. And that's what he did.
Things to work on Sunday.
I think the defense can continue to, you just got to work on that, the continuity there, and get it a little tightened up at times out there. The rebounding, second chance points for Peru State. You want to see that get better. That's kind of been a weakness for a long time at Nebraska, and they have the length, they have the bigger bodies if it really becomes a problem. But too, in the modern day 3-point shooting, it can kind of diminish the three or the rebounding a little bit. Again, it can kind of make the numbers look different than they always are as far as hustle and stuff like that, because they'll bounce off the rim and go out to whoever's out there. It's not necessarily who's boxing out at times, but the numbers are what they are, and they're not pretty. I mean, Nebraska dominated points in the paint, points off turnover, fast break points, bench points, all of that. Second chance points is the one thing that they got dominated at tonight, where Peru State 14 second chance points, Nebraska only 4.
Is that the big issue for Big Ten basketball?
I think so. I think that would be the worry, because rebounding is still a thing in the Big Ten. As much as the game's changing, it doesn't change as much in the Big Ten.
I thought we changed the rules.
But I think too, if Nebraska, again, if that becomes too much of a problem, they have options to switch to kind of get to more of the rebounding presence out there, and that may be Eduardo Andre's calling card. He's definitely just has the length for it, and he could make a big difference in those numbers if it becomes too much of a problem.
Who will lead this team in scoring?
I think Verge. I think Verge looks like he's going to lead the team in scoring, probably assists, maybe steals. He's a real player, real deal. We talked, and he had a chance to be playing it professionally, maybe not in the NBA, but right under that. We're trying to work all the way up.
He's a better G League guy.
Yeah, but and this is his chance, and we heard all about him being kind of the off-ball guy last year. I think he's going to prove that he can be the primary ball handler, and I think that'll definitely help his stock going into the next level.
Well, I think that's how it plays out. I think the more you see, the more you know. Remember, this is a player that averaged 14 off the bench in the Pac-12 a year ago. And now he's going to have the ball and all the minutes he can stand, and he's got some talent beside him. I think it'll be interesting. Thank you, kind sir.
Oh, yeah. Love to do it. Like, again, doesn't get much better Nebraska basketball starting up.
This is gold. It's 5-2. Astros.
Well, okay.
6 days. We'll talk tomorrow.
How's Nebraska volleyball doing real quick?
They're down a set.
Okay. Well, they'll come back maybe.
Yeah.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. They helped me get my job, helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Nebraska Army National Guard. Aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association at this station.
Take your tan to the max at Max Tan and can for a can every day through the month of October. Bring in a can of food for the food bank and get a free tan from Max Tan. See maxtan.net for details. Tan for a can every day in October. Only at Max Tan.
Water heater gone? Call Bryant. The price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. And in most cases, same-day replacement. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. We do whatever it takes.
Toys and sports collectibles, 6200 Havelock Avenue.
Hi, I'm Kevin with Sports Fantastic.
And I'm Daryl at Stop and Shop Funko Pop.
We